What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. Summertime is just around the corner, so you guys might be thinking about buying an e-bike right now. And let's start with no other than the HEYBIKE Alpha. This thing just got released. We're probably gonna be the second or third person on YouTube to review this thing. I'll try to do multiple videos with this thing unless we have like an issue with it or we get a flat. But it's a very interesting bike. I unboxed it the other day. If you guys didn't see that, go back and watch that video so you guys can see how it's packaged and, you know, just my surprise when I found out it's a 500 watt mid-drive torque sensor electric bike. Now that is very interesting because this bike is coming in at $15.99 right now on sale, and I also have another link down in the description that's going to save you even more money on it as of right now. So if you want to act fast and get it for the lowest price, you might want to buy it now. But before you do that, stick around to this video to see if it's worth it, because there are some pros and cons about this thing. So the fact that it has a mid-drive makes it a little bit more weight balanced. I will say the front does feel a little tiny bit more heavier, and that's probably because you have the electronics on here, the buttons, the headlight, and the suspension front fork up there. So it isn't the lightest bike out there, but it's not that heavy. 500 watts, it doesn't seem like a lot of power out of that mid-drive, but keep in mind, this thing is outputting 105 Newton meters of torque. But here's the con. One of the cons is that when you pull the throttle when the bike is on from a standstill, it won't move. So just keep in mind that you actually have to start pedaling this bike and then you can use the throttle. But also, I need to download the app and I need to see if there's anything I need to modify, because I noticed when trying to hold 20 miles an hour with only throttle and not pedaling, I was slowly losing speed. I can tell it was taking a while because the throttle was doing its thing, but it wasn't keeping me at a constant speed. So we're gonna check that out when we do the riding footage on the GoPro. But for now, let's shoot some B-roll shots of this thing. I'll bring you guys up close on some of these components. We'll go over some of the specs, then we'll take it out for a spin. Then towards the end of this video, if you guys wanna skip to the end, I'm gonna do my final conclusion and see if this bike is worth it or not. And then you guys can decide if you wanna buy it or not. So without further ado, let's get into it. So now that you guys have seen the B-roll shots of this bike, let's do a quick walk around, kind of going over some of the specs real quickly so we can hurry up and get on the riding footage of this video. So let's go down to this motor again. 500 watts mid-drive Galaxy Perform S e-drive. It feels really good when I took it up and down the street, but again, I've only put like a mile on this thing, so we're gonna do a lot more testing in a little bit. But it does output 105 Newton meters of torque, which isn't bad, right? And then this battery right here, they say you can get about 60 miles of range max. Now, I don't know what mode they're talking about and the weight of the rider. It is a small battery. I think it's 680 watt hours, which isn't a huge battery, but again, 500 watts is not a lot of power, and it definitely feels very nice for how light this bike is. Now, the frame is 6061 aluminum alloy. You got 26-inch by 4-inch fat tires on here, and they look meaty. You got some really nice tread pattern on here, so if you want to go off-road, it really looks the part. Like, I mean, these things, they might be making some noise on a public road, on a flat road, but definitely gonna have to see how it is off-road, as long as it's not super muddy, because it's been raining a lot here, but summertime is coming. So hopefully when you guys get this bike, if you order one, it will come just in time. I like that you have a headlight up here with the turn signals in the front. Normally you only get turn signals in the back of these bikes. Also, these fenders are plastic, by the way, so that's gonna save some weight a little bit. Of course, 180 millimeter rotors up front, hydraulic brakes. The only thing I really had to put on this bike was the front tire and the headlight and the front fender. That's it. It was a very easy bike to put together. Oh, and then the handlebars. I want to say it took me maybe 25 to 30 minutes to put this bike together. It's not too bad. Also on this battery real quick, you saw that I was able to remove it. Now there's a cover that you got to remove first, and then you need the keys to unlock the battery. Then you pull the battery out. You can charge it on the bike right here. Or you can take the battery off, bring it inside, and go charge it. So just in case you live upstairs and you gotta leave the bike downstairs in like a garage or something, that'll make it easier for you. And I love that it has this bungee strap on the back right here, because now you can get a basket from their website, but if you wanna use your own basket, I like the fact that they just give you this, and it clips onto the side of the bike down here, and it's gonna save your cargo from moving and going anywhere. So I just think that's a very nice touch that they added on this bike, and it looks the part. You also get a brake light back here that also has turn signals left and right. Now, one thing I did notice on this bike is that the pedals do come very close to the ground, so be a little careful about that. It's a lot closer than I thought it was gonna be, because I was in the grass, it actually hit and got stuck. So that's not much clearance. Now this bike is leaned over on the kickstand, but it doesn't have that much of a lean to it. But keep in mind, when you are turning, you are gonna be leaning with this bike. Now to turn this bike on up here, there is a button. It's the orange one underneath. The display is color, looks great. It also has an automatic headlight feature because I'm in the garage and it automatically turned on. I didn't even have to do anything about that. I love that when you do hit the turn signal, it shows you on the display. That is super, super nice, so you know that your turn signal is on. It doesn't make any noise. That would have been nice if it made some type of beeping noise to let you know, but either way, it's nice. You do get an 8-speed over here, and you get your half twist throttle. Now these grips aren't the best. I gotta say, these are very hard plastic. They don't really have any grip to them, to be honest, so I would probably change those out if I was you when I got the bike. Now let's go to the charger really quick. This is 2 amps. So it's not the fastest charger, but again, keep in mind, this is a small battery, so it should charge it decently fast. On the left-hand side of the bike, you do get your preload adjustment right there, and then on the right-hand side of the bike, you do get your lockout if you want to lock out the suspension. I always leave it unlocked, and I will make sure it's in the fully unlocked position to get me the best comfortable riding possible. But again, it's nice to just have those options. Now, one cool thing about this bike that might not concern a lot of people, but I just thought it was cool to show, is that when you move the pedals, the chainring up front does not move. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the lights at night. I have one garage light above me. It's pretty dark in here. And you can see that the headlight isn't that bad. I'm not hating on the headlight, but I could tell that it's not gonna be the brightest light ever because it's not washed out on my garage door and I'm pretty close to it. So it's not gonna be the best headlight out there, I can tell you that right now, but the fact that it has a headlight is always a good safety thing. There are some bikes that do not come with headlights, just keep that in mind. Now here is how the brake light looks, and this is without hitting the brake light, so this is just how it looks when you're just riding. If you do hit the brake levers though, on either side, left or right, this is how bright it gets. When you let off, it looks like that. When you hit the brakes, it looks like that. Not bad, it does get brighter. It doesn't look like the brightest brake light ever, but still it's nice to have that brake functionality integrated into this bike. And they also integrated turn signals. Now the turn signals kind of blew me away because the turn signals are actually pretty bright. I'm not mad at these turn signals whatsoever. I think they did a fantastic job. That's the left one. And this is the right one. People are definitely gonna be seeing you when you use those turn signals for sure. One thing I would have liked to see though is if you could do hazards and do both of them at the same time, just in case you're on the side of the street and you wanna have your hazards on, but it doesn't look like you can do that because as soon as you hit the left one, it switches to the left one. You can't do both at the same time. And then there's another button on here for the horn. There is a slight delay with the horn I noticed, and the horn is coming from the headlight in front, so it's not the loudest thing ever, but if you're on a trail with people just walking, no headphones in, they should definitely hear you, but traffic, on the other hand, is probably not gonna hear you coming. All right, so the next thing I wanted to show you guys is how I look sitting on the bike with the seat at the lowest position, and then I'll also raise the seat and show you how it would look if I was a taller person. So I am 5'9", just to give you guys an idea. This is with the seat on the lowest spot. And I sit so comfortably on this thing. You see my knees are fully bent, I'm flat-footed. This is honestly how I like to ride, kind of like a low rider, but again, you have the adjustability if you're a low person and you can really get someone on this bike that wants a huge fat tire bike like this with 26-inch tires, but you can also sit very low. This is not very common in the e-bike world. If you have big fat tires like this, you normally don't sit this low. That's the highest that you can go safely before this will go too high and it might snap off depending on the weight of you when you sit on it. And I'll tell you right now that I'm probably barely, I can barely sit on this seat like this, but I can put one foot like that on my tippy toes. So this will definitely be good for people that are over 6 foot as well, probably up to 6'4". You'll feel very comfortable, but yeah, this is just too high. So I'm gonna put this seat somewhere in the middle and I should be good. All right guys, so now that you know all the specs on this bike and you're caught up with everything, if you were to spend the money on this thing and what you're gonna be getting, now let's see how it actually performs out in the real world on the real street. And without further ado, let's go. Let's switch over to the GoPro. All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? We switched cameras. Now we're on the bike. I got my phone up here to see if the speed matches. I gotta tell you, this is off already. About 3 miles per hour, this display is off. So I'm curious to see how fast we will go in today's video, because I'm in gear 8 and I'm trying to pedal my ass off. All right guys, so here's where I'm gonna try to go as fast as possible. I'm pedaling my ass off right now. I am connected to this bike, which is super nice, but I'm seeing that this bike says I can get 28 miles an hour. However, I'm only able to get 25 on my phone. So I'm not hitting the claimed 28 miles an hour that this bike is supposed to do. All right, so I decided to take a break from the pedals and just use a throttle so I can just give myself a rest, because this is definitely a bike where you have to pedal to get up to 25 or 28 miles an hour if you can reach 28 miles an hour. Maybe I'm too heavy to get 28 miles an hour. I'm not fully seeing 28 miles an hour. Maybe it's because this is capping at 20, but real GPS isn't. So maybe if you change the wheel diameter speed in here, it will kind of trick it to give you more power. But yeah, I just needed this to give me a little bit of a break, and I noticed that the throttle will take you up to 20 miles an hour, and that's it, it caps. So throttle only, 20 miles an hour. If you want to go any faster, you have to get on the pedals and start mashing, and then you'll start going up in speed. And it's very nice and it's fluid, and the power transfer is great. It's just trying to get up to speed using the throttle only without pedaling definitely takes some time. It's definitely a slower bike if you do not use your feet whatsoever. So if you're just looking for a bike to sit on, mash it full throttle, and just go fast, this ain't gonna be the bike for you. But if you are actually someone that likes to pedal, an enthusiast out there, you want a little bit of assistance, you don't even need to be in pedal assist 5, which gives me all the power. You can be in pedal assist 1, just to give you a little tiny bit of that power. That's probably where you're gonna get your 60 miles of range out of this bike. It's not too bad in that sense, but again, if you wanna go super fast, throttle only, yeah, you're just limited to 20. And I'm really trying to get more speed out of here. Let's see if we can hit 26. Oh, there we go. 29 on the display. Wait, 30 here. Okay, we're moving, we're moving. All right, still 26 though. And here's another thing you gotta remember. We're gonna do our speed test, but we have to drop the gears down. You do not wanna start in gear number 8 when leaving a light. All right, so we're in our designated speed test. I dropped it down to gear 2. We're gonna go through the gears. I'm gonna try not to mash on them too hard and shift when I'm pedaling really hard, but I also wanna do this for science and see how fast this bike will go at the stretch of road, because if it's over 27, it's on the faster side of e-bikes. If it's under 27, it's on the slower side of e-bikes. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. We have to use the pedals. Then you can use the throttle. Dude, look how fast that thing picked up. Ooh. All right, there we go. We're in gear 8. It moves, guys. Like, it really picks up speed fast, and there we go. We're capped. It's as fast as we can go. We hit 25, 26 in no time. 0 to 15, we were gone. We have to do that test one more time. Watch how fast this bike picks up. It's absolutely insane. And if you guys haven't seen this, there is a little exclamation point on the screen, and that is when you're holding your brakes. I really suggest you hold your brakes when you're at a light, because if you barely move the pedals like this and you're not trying to move, it will take off from you. So if you hold your brakes, it won't take off from you. So here we go. Let's see how fast this thing jumps again. 1, 2, 3. Pedal, pedal. Dang. It's like a supercharger. 20 miles an hour, there we go. That's quick. It's just we're missing that little bit of top speed. But damn, is this bike quick off the line. You just gotta make sure you're in the right gear. I'll show you what happens when you're in gear number 8 and try to leave the light. All right, so check this out. No downshifting to start at this crack right here. We are slightly going downhill, so that's gonna help us a little bit, but here we go, watch. You cannot activate the throttle right now. You have to start moving a little bit for this to be able to work. So look, check us out. It's not moving, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, ooh. All right, the bike's moving, got the throttle on. Look at the difference in acceleration if you do not put it in the right gear. Man, huge difference. I kind of wish it automatically downshifted and upshifted for you. That would have been nice. But you definitely got to be careful with this bike. You can't be shifting it too rough, because you will wear down that drivetrain in the mid-drive way quick. So just keep that in mind. Let's check out this bike over here in this corner real quick out in the sun. I think it's a gorgeous bike. I got the black one. They also come in white. I guess one thing we should do is take off all this plastic. I'm sure the new owner would love this stuff, but let's just take it off. Yeah. I'll leave the screen protector one on because sometimes like I can scratch it, just even cleaning it with the dust on there kind of puts micro scratches in it. So I normally leave the screen protector on there, but here's how the bike looks. It looks super nice. Not too bad. It's huge fat tire e-bike. I love the white and the orange on the rims because as you're moving around, it looks super cool and it kind of just gives it a cool design when you're going down the street. I love the fact that you can tell where the valve stems are at because of this. There's an orange line right here, a sticker in between each one of these. So when you look, you're like, wait, where's it at so I can air it up? You'll always find it because of that. But yeah, I like it. It's not too bad. If you're a very, very short person, you might want to get the step through design instead of the step over design. And this will pretty much just be gone. Like this whole thing will just be gone and you can step right over it like that. So, but yeah, now we got to do the hill test and it looks a little muddy down here. So we'll be a little careful. I want to see if it comes up this, which it should. And if it does that very easy, we'll try the steeper one. All right, here we go. Gear number 1. We have to use the pedals before the throttle activates, but I'll just hold the throttle down and then activate the pedals. So here we go, 1, 2, 3. Holy crap. No problem at all. It wanted to just keep going. We hit 8 miles an hour on there. Easy too. Then look, we're back to no throttle again. Got to get those pedals activated first. So now we got to try out the bigger hill. We're still in gear number 1. Keep in mind, this is much more steeper than that. I know you guys probably can't tell over camera, but let's try it out. Whoa! Dang! Now I had a brief second where I was like, is it gonna do it? Because we hit like a wall where the whole bike was on the hill, but no, it just kept going. I'm gonna do that one more time. Let's do the more steeper one. This is more steeper. It kind of slants down that way. So let's go this way. 1, 2, 3. Whoa! Okay, I let off. I let off a little bit because I was afraid. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah. Oh, it will climb anything. The only thing I had a problem with is the pedal hit the top of that lip when I got up to the top because it was so steep. So again, that's one thing I mentioned before even coming out here and riding. It looked like the pedals were very close to the ground. So that's something you gotta be a little concerned about, especially if you got big feet. If you got some 13-inch shoes, the tips of your shoes might be rubbing the ground, especially if you go over some terrain that's kind of bumpy. You might stub your toe on something. So that's a little concerning. But here we go. Let's see how this bike shines out here because we got some really nice tires on here. No slippage at all, it feels like. These things are handling pretty good out here. Here's some sand. I'm not going over the mud, forget that. The one thing I just gotta keep reminding myself, I gotta keep changing gears. And then I also don't wanna be putting too much force when I do shift. I'm just trying to pedal like normal. Ooh, this is kind of bumpy right here. Ooh. The tires are handling perfect. I'm not having an issue with the tires, but the suspension is pretty stiff. I thought the suspension would be a lot more softer than this. Yeah, that front suspension is, it's not helping me right now. It feels like it would be made more for like a heavier person, like 250 plus pounds. You might feel a little bit more comfortable on it with less sag. For me, at 163 pounds, it's definitely not wanting to compress as much as I thought it was. Let me make sure my preload is all the way down. Oh yeah, it's locked out right there. So that was pretty much on the bottom. Oh, and I forgot to downshift. So let me downshift to get up to speed. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna say this is not the most comfortable bike off-roading if you have a lot of bumpy terrain to go over. But you don't have to worry about the tire slipping out. But yeah, I'd probably give this like a 6 out of 10 for like comfortability. The tires, I'd probably give a 9 out of 10. No issues with the tires.
Like right here is cool, and then as soon as you hit all this, ooh, oh man. Suspension and seat post would be nice right now. Maybe that's something you guys can add to this bike to give it a little bit more comfort, because I'm coming in and out of my seat. I'm feeling tons of bumps. I'm actually feeling more bumps in my hand, so that means the front suspension isn't doing the best. And of course, no rear suspension, so I expected the seat to kind of throw me out every so often. So that's my rating right there. I'm gonna take a little break. Your boy's tired, and it looks like we might run into a bunch of bees right now, so pray for me. I don't have gloves on. Damn. There's a lot of traffic. All right, so we had to take a detour because there's so much traffic, and because this bike doesn't rely on throttle, I felt like I had to pedal to get across and then shift gears, and it was too close in between the cars to kind of dart out there, so I had to go down another street because I sat there for way too long at that light, and I just wasn't getting anywhere for like 4 minutes. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna come this way, we're gonna do a little bit more off-roading action, and then get back onto our trail where we do the braking test. All right, so here's the little detour we're on right now. This is kind of where this bike shines, honestly, because it's not as bumpy, nice and smooth. So if you do have to take some side roads, stuff like this, you won't have any issues with this bike. Now there is a bunch of sand right there. I can see how that is. Let's ride through the sand real quick. Oh yeah, not a problem. Now it's not thick sand, it's not like the beach, but these tires do not feel like they're washing out. You gotta kind of steer a little bit, you know, but it's not that bad. The next thing I want to do is a turning test and show you guys that even though it has big tires on it, it turns very well. It turns like a low bike. No issues whatsoever. It actually turns really good. It's surprising. I thought I was gonna have to put more force into it, you know, with these big tires, and they're wide too, and no problem at all. Now let's see how it is to do a U-turn. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Turning radius is pretty wide. So look, that's as far as you can go when turning the bike to the left. That's how far you can go turning the bike to the right. And what's stopping it is, I believe this right here. So you can see that this lock right here with suspension is hitting the battery tray. And the cool thing is this battery tray is fully removable without having the key. So I guess someone could come and steal it, but I mean, you could remove that if you want. So if that does get damaged, you could probably replace that. All right, so let's get back up to speed. Oh man, go bike. I started in gear number 7. That was rough. We're also getting a squeaky noise from the brakes, so that needs to be adjusted. It's definitely rubbing up front. It wasn't doing that when we shot this video review when we first left, so, you know, little things you gotta tweak. I've noticed you've had to do that here and there. Sometimes brakes are a little bit like, I guess you can say like sticky, or they slightly move. They weren't fully tightened down, so that could be it too. All right, here we go, guys. The brake test, the funnest test of them all. I'm trying to go as fast as I possibly can. There's little to no wind, and I think I'll barely be able to hit like 25, 26. But here we go, 1, 2, 3. Oh, solid brakes. Now, keep in mind, this wasn't at 28 miles an hour. And if we stop behind this line right here, it's on the better side of e-bikes. So it stopped definitely behind the line. So if we were to add another 3 miles onto that, it would have probably stopped close to that line right there on it. So it's a very good bike for stopping. Surprised the tires didn't feel like they locked up. Maybe they locked up a little bit, like right here, you see that dark line, but surprisingly really good. Not too shabby of brakes. 180 millimeter rotors and hydraulics. Yeah, definitely doing the job right now. All right, so I wanted to give you guys an update on the battery. And the only time the battery ever goes down is when we're getting up to speed. Right now, well, now it says 100, but it was showing about 92%, so it's going off a voltage sag. However, it's been at 100% forever. And maybe it's because we're not using that much power, I'm not exactly sure. Let me shift to gear number 8, give it a little bit more power, and it's still staying at 100. So, oh, 76%, and then 100. All right, so the battery percent is a little wonky, I gotta say. It kind of worries me a little bit because I know it's not a big battery. I'm not exactly sure how far we can go, especially the way I'm riding. So I want to be a little bit more cautious. However, everything's fine except that noise in the front. All right, let's try to get rid of that noise. Oh, 74% on the battery. Let's see how it is. We're gonna be coming up this hill. 74 still. I mean, I gotta say it's not bad for 8 miles. Well, I should say 7 because my phone, that's more accurate than the display right now. I mean, it's not terrible, especially the way I'm riding. I'm using the throttle 24/7, and now I'm coming up a hill, 81%. All right, let's see what we can do, ladies and gentlemen. We got the green light, 27. Come on, 28. 28, let's go. 29, come on, 29. Yeah, 29, baby, let's go. Now I think that's the fastest we're gonna be able to go because your boy is running out of steam. The leg's on fire. The HEYBIKE Alpha is giving me a workout, burning some calories. Now that's one thing I wanna check. If I hit the M button, it shows our trip. It goes through our max speed, which is 32.6 from the display. Miles average is about 13.8. And our voltage is 48.9. And our wattage right now is 6. What the heck? Oh, amps, I'm sorry. Amps is 10, 13, 14. Let's go to wattage. All right, 500, 4 something, 600 something. Now it's down to 200, 300. I saw about 800 watts on a peak real quick. And then you go back. I've been out here for 35 minutes. And we go back to our odometer. I think I'm gonna leave it on. Let's go to voltage. There we go. I like seeing my voltage instead of going off this battery bar. So there we go, 49 volts. Should be able to go down close to like 40-ish. And then you're in the danger zone at that point. So once you probably get to like, I'd say 42-ish, you better be close to home. All right, so the next thing I want to show you guys is throttle response. Now it's gonna be kind of hard to show because it depends on what gear you're in and what pedal assist. And I'm always gonna be in the highest pedal assist, which is 5. Some bikes are 9, this one's 5. So right now I'm on 5 right now and I hit the pedals, it's gone. Like, it's instant. Especially if I drop it down to another gear, it's instant. Like, there's no delay whatsoever. If I use the throttle, 1, 2, 3, the throttle is hard to predict because right now I am in gear 4. But let's say if I go up to gear 8 and hit the throttle, it's now giving me power, but the power is so minimal that it feels like it's not working, but it is. But the throttle is also instant. I would say maybe the throttle has slight, tiny bit delay compared to the pedals. The pedals are instant, but you need to use the pedals on this bike. This is not a bike you rely on the throttle for. Unless you really need a brake, you wanna be hovering around 15 to 20 miles an hour, depending on when your battery goes down. I noticed about 17 to 20 when it was full, and now the battery's going down, it's about 15, 16. So it's gonna go slower as you lose voltage on this bike. I'm not mad about it, it's just, you gotta be in shape or you wanna get a workout in, then you go for something like this. Now the next thing I wanna try out is the horn. Yeah, it's not that loud. I feel like the brakes at this point are louder than the horn. Definitely some fine adjustments on that and it should be perfectly fine. It's like coming in and out, so I feel like the brake pad is ever so slightly rubbing on the rotor. Once you align it perfectly, it should be fine. It's just annoying that it's out here and I'm so far away from the house and we're shooting a video review, but don't let this discourage you from getting the bike because you hear that noise. It just happens on almost every bike if you don't align that. All right guys, so that's gonna include the riding portion of this video, but don't click out yet because we're gonna go back to the house and give you guys our final conclusion if you should buy this thing or not.
Oh man, dude, my legs hurt. Man, haven't got a workout like that in a long time. So let's go over some of the stuff that the bike is saying real quick based on my phone, the display, the voltage, and everything like that. So the battery bars on the top are saying 96% after riding all that time. This is obviously with it saying it's down before the voltage tag hits. So roughly, I think this battery is around 65, 70. And the way to find that out, we just go on the voltage chart, which I'll put it on the screen right now. And it's showing that we're at 48.7 volts on the bike. So I would definitely learn your voltage and go off of that instead of the number at the top because that's not accurate to me. There's no way we went down 4% on this bike. So you really have to go off the voltage. And for that, we did 11.7 miles to get down to that. And we were at a full battery charge when we started. The tires were aired up to 19 out of 20 PSI. So there should be no issues with range that way. There was, however, an issue with the front brake rubbing. I actually had to get a little Allen and I had to come in here and loosen this up because it was a little too tight. And then I also aligned the brake pad. So it shouldn't be making that noise anymore, but I can still hear that it is slightly grinding on the rotor, so the brake pads are just too tight. So hopefully on the next video that we shoot, and subscribe if you guys want to see that, we'll do a night riding footage like when I take it to work and stuff like that, because I want to see if that went away, and if it didn't, I might have to back out the brakes just a little tiny bit more, because that noise was annoying. Everyone kept looking at me, and I'm pretty sure you can hear it throughout the entire video, but I mean, things happen, and it's not an actual issue with the bike. It's something that can easily be fixed with an Allen key, so not a huge deal. The bike overall is great. I like the seating position of it. The seat's very comfortable and wide. I like the fact that if you need cargo and storage, you got this in the back. Wasn't a big fan of the front suspension. It felt a little too like bouncy for me. It really feels like it's made for a heavier rider. And again, this bike is made for up to 400 pounds, so that kind of makes sense. So if you are, say, 250 plus pounds, it actually might feel a little bit more plush to you because it's actually gonna move. And with this, with having no weight, me personally on the front at 163 pounds, I felt like I wasn't enough to get it to, like, you know, nicely come back and forth. It was like it hit a bump and it just like jumped, like it had no suspension. So that's the only thing I noticed. The headlights and the tail light automatically came on since we're in the garage, the automatic sensor on here. But we're definitely doing a second video and we'll check out the lights since it don't seem like I got a flat. I do have a little bit of thorns I see from doing that steep hill test, but I'm surprised it did that hill test. I mean, this thing definitely 0 to 15 has a ton of power. Like, it has a lot of power to climb hills. So if you're in like San Francisco or something, you got to get uphill, this bike will climb it. Now the range, I don't know exactly how the range is going to be. That's going to depend on a lot of factors, how many hills you're going up, how much you weigh, what you have your tires aired up to, yada, yada, yada. So I'm not 100% sure, but just learn your voltage and then you'll be fine. You'll know exactly where you're at. And if you really wanted to buy a secondary battery for it, I mean, this is a very light battery because it's very small. It's only 680 watt hours, so that's really nothing in today's age, you know. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I just like to be fair on these video reviews, so I really appreciate it. But if you really did like the video, stick around because we're gonna do a second one, and I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys are the true MVPs for sticking around. Please smash a like on it, get us back in the algorithm of YouTube, and we're not gonna be here much longer. I'm gonna be moving, so just keep that in mind. Some of these bikes that you see, we're probably gonna be reviewing here, but for now, yeah, this is the last that you're gonna probably see of this area in the next month. So I'll see you guys.